Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the tournament breakdown video for day 2 on the St. Lawrence River, which is the 6th and final stop of the regular season on the MLF Pro Circuit for 2021. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Now, if you've watched my tournament breakdown videos before, you know that I usually just roll the videos of my fish catches and interesting things that have happened, and then I just, occasionally do a little bit of a voiceover kind of explaining what's going on. But instead, I decided to try something a little bit different. Of course, we've got a camera set up here. I'm going to be commentating on the video as I watch it. So we got the raw footage right here that I'm going to be going over, and by doing it this way, I'm commentating on the entire video. So every little step along the way, which I think is a great way to be able to explain things in depth and also comment on funny things that may have happened or just things that are notable that happen in a tournament day. So I think this will be a cool way to do it. If by the end of the video you have a comment or a position on whether or not you like it this way, let me know in the comment section. And also, before we get started, thank you guys so much for all the support on the Sonar Fishing channel. If you're new to Sonar Fishing, make sure you consider subscribing to the channel, and always comment and hit that like button if you do like these videos. So anyways, a little bit of a precursor to this day 2. So day 1, of course, we're right on the bubble for making the title championship. We're in 45th going into this event. Needed just a decent tournament. Didn't need to blow anybody's socks off. It just had to be a decent finish. If I got a check, I was more than likely going to make it in the top 50 cut, which is the title championship cut. So that was my main focus, was to make that top 50 cut. And after practice, I realized that the smallmouth that I really thought would be the biggest player were really hard to catch. And I don't have a lot of experience with a Great Lakes smallmouth. So after the first day and a half of practice, I was really starting to get concerned about the smallmouth bite. I just don't have the instincts built up. Didn't really have an eye for the type of areas that I needed to focus on, and it was just hard to get those fish to bite. And so I ended up kind of switching a little bit, going to largemouth, and when I did that, I instantly just kind of fell into my groove and started catching fish, and I can catch them power fishing, which is how I like to do it. So that's what I decided going into the first day, is what I was going to do is focus on largemouth, and then once I have a decent bag of largemouth, go for some smallmouth. So that's what I did the first day. Ended up catching 16.5 pounds. Of course, again, we'll go watch that video. Day 1, and then and that put me in like 52nd, I believe, either 52nd or 53rd. I can't remember which one. And so today, day 2, that was the day that really, I needed to put on the pressure and keep my foot on the gas, because I needed to make sure that I came in with a decent bag to stay within that top 50, maybe even top 65 range to make the title championship. So that was the goal going into day 2. All right, so let's get started. All right, so let's start right here with me turning the camera back on, because I made, it was about a 55-mile run. It was a little bit rough that morning, and the camera turned off. But got down here. This is the Chippewa Bay area, and this is an area I had not fished at all. No time during practice. It's just I was trying to find some new water before I got into that Clayton area. So had a couple areas that I looked on my Navionics maps and kind of thought that they looked good, and this was one of the areas. Obviously, these docks, I mean, for as far as a homeowner goes, this is not how you want your dock to look, but as far as a fisherman goes, this is beautiful. There we go. It did not take long at all to catch my first fish. I was pretty stoked at this point because the water already looked good. It was really tannic stained, which was pretty rare, and there was a lot of eelgrass, a good mixture of grass, which didn't make fishing the chatterbait all that easy, but it was looking really, really good as far as the largemouth water. Okay, so one thing I will mention is that pretty much all the fish you're going to see until we go smallmouth fishing in this video are all on one chatterbait, and that is the 1/2 ounce jackhammer and green pumpkin. And I put a Hot Snakes Razor Shads trailer on there. Really, really good trailer that I use. One of the probably 3 different Elastec trailers I use on my chatterbaits. But man, as you can see, it didn't matter how clear that water was, man. These fish on the St. Lawrence, these largemouth, man, they just destroyed that jackhammer. And even during practice, I actually used a new chatterbait from Z-Man, which just came out, which was the chatterbait Mini Max. I caught a lot of fish on that, and the only reason I'm not throwing it here is because I caught them so well on the traditional jackhammer chatterbait, and I had a bunch of jackhammers, so I figured that I'd throw that one because I only had one of the Mini Max, but I did catch some of my biggest fish during practice on that Mini Max, but I didn't necessarily need to throw that one bait. As you can see here, I picked up a frog, Z-Man Leapfrogs in the old school color, in between docks and stuff like that. This one's pretty cool. This is actually a pretty cool illustration about how you should always, if it looks good, hit it multiple times, multiple different casts. I think I cut it out, but this dock, I probably made 10 separate casts to these slips and finally hooked up. Not a bad fish. Trying to get the power poles, keep them off the carpet. For the first the first day of the tournament, I used a lot of 15-pound Seaguar Tatsu, but today, the second day, I ended up spooling up an extra rod with some of the new 17-pound Tatsu because I was going to fish around some of the clearer, or the dirtier water docks, and I didn't think that these fish would be line shy. Really, I don't think they'd be line shy to be good at all, anyways. But switch to that 17-pound. Here's another fish right here. Different stretch. Still in that Chippewa Bay area. Even though I was really excited after catching some, fish really fast, I was not very stoked on the average size. I mean, just the fact that I had to pull out the board on this one is just a sign that, I'm just not seeing the size that I should be seeing. Of course, this is all new water. I haven't even hit any of the areas that were my primary areas the first day. All right, so here I'm getting into some of the areas that I really I consider my best stretches, my best areas, and this is down in the Clayton area right here, and this is kind of like 10 o'clock in the morning, just starting to get into the good stuff. Really rough day. I mean, it was howling. It was very rough. There we go. Starting to get a little bit better. Feeling good now that I'm in this area right here. I was starting to be a little bit concerned because I just hit a lot of new water that I thought looked good on the Navionics map, but just didn't have all the ingredients. But started getting into my groove here once I got into what I consider, the juice, the good areas. Again, I'm fishing this jackhammer chatterbait with the 17-pound test Tatsu, that's brand new line, the 7.3 medium heavy Versus Series rod, and also a 7.2 to 1 gear ratio VLD10. Had some spectators there. Gotta love anchor mode, man. Catch a fish. If you're a little bit too deep for the power poles, anchor mode down is a better fish. There we go. Man, I could not tell how big this fish was until I tried to boat flip it. Oh, look at that, bounced off the hip. Much better fish. That's like a 3.5 pounder. Man, it just felt so good to be able to power fish for these largemouth on the St. Lawrence. Man, I'm so glad that I made the decision to go for largemouth primarily. Just covering a lot of water, fishing all the docks that I could. And man, they would just come out from underneath those docks and just destroy that chatterbait. It just really changed my perception of what colors and what type of baits you can use in ultra clear water. Of course, some of these areas are a little bit churned up because of the wind, but I mean, the first day and for a lot of the second day, I was fishing areas that, you know, you could see 15 foot down easily, and so it was pretty crazy. So right here, this is switching up. This is up near Waddington, and decided to go for some smallmouth now that we've got, you know, a fair bag with largemouth, and it was so rough I wanted to make it back up and drift for some smallmouth. So we're using a drop shot here, 3/8 ounce drop shot weight. That was a tungsten weight that I was using, and using that Hayabusa drop shot hook, man, number 3. Incredible little drop shot hook. Really cool to learn how to drop shot even better this trip. I don't do it a whole lot. It's not my favorite technique at all, but had a lot of fun fishing for smallmouth, and here I'm hooked up with my first upgrade fish of the day for smallmouth, at least. So in this current, I mean, it's so disappointing because you look at the footage and it doesn't look like it looks like I'm standing still, but really I'm drifting like 2 miles per hour at least, and so I'm moving very quickly, and so I just have to be really gentle with these fish, make sure that I don't put too much pressure on them. I've got 8-pound Tatsu on there, so plenty strong, but you definitely don't want to, you know, pull too hard. Ended up getting this one on the boat. I had a big I had a bunch of Z-Man trick shots that I actually soaked in some scent before getting up to the St. Lawrence. Seemed to make a pretty big difference. And the trick shots is just a really good drop shot bait, super durable. A lot of action. So as far as the distance between the hook, which again was either a number 2 or a number 3 drop shot hook from Hayabusa, I had about, I'd say, an 18-inch distance between my hook and my weight. So that's, and sometimes I went a little bit longer. So I had like one rod that had probably a 2-foot distance, and so depending on how fast I was drifting, I would switch to the longer leader if I was drifting faster, because you'd get a different angle on it, and I just wanted to keep that bait up off the bottom. Just really trying to finesse these fish in. They fight so hard. And those, my Stunner S4000 reel really did a good job. And the rod that I really came to love for drop shotting up there was the 7.3 medium action all-purpose series spinning rod from Fitzgerald. That was just a really good rod. I don't like it for a lot of different techniques, but for drop shotting, man, it is just perfect. It's got a great bend to it. It's really a great drop shot rod. I usually like the 610 medium heavy Versa series. There we go, got them in the boat. There we go. All right, so that fish right there pretty much sealed the deal for me for making the championship. So that right there is the end of the video, and those 2 smallmouth that I caught at the end of the day were really key. It was a really tough day, and the weights were way down from what you normally expect from the St. Lawrence River, and so those 2 fish, I mean, gave me an extra pound. I only had like 12.5 pounds when I left the Clayton area, and those fish gave me an extra pound. And with those 2 fish, I ended up finishing with a $5,000 check, so a little check, but more importantly, I made the title championship. I qualified for the title with those 2 smallmouth. So as far as I'm concerned, I made a good decision to go drift for those smallmouth, to try to upgrade it a couple more times, and we did it. So overall, the St. Lawrence River was a really good experience. It's really cool to get up to a fishery like that, to go fishing for smallmouth, completely change gears and go for something completely different. As far as the scenery and the beauty of the fishery itself, incredible. I loved it up there. It really was amazing, and so had a great time. Got to fish a little bit different than I thought I would when I got up there. I really thought that I'd be focusing on smallmouth the entire time and maybe supplementing with some largemouth, but it was actually flip-flopped. Primarily focused on largemouth, and then also caught some smallmouth. But you know what? You got to follow your gut. I always say that. Follow your gut. Do the things that may not be super popular on a fishery, but if you feel right and you feel like you are in your element when you're doing it, that's what you got to do. So this tournament was the perfect example for that, and yeah, it got me to the title, which is going to be held in Wisconsin. We're going to La Crosse, Wisconsin next week, so that's of course going to be televised eventually, but it's going to be live streamed during the event on MajorLeagueFishing.com, so you got to check that out. But overall, St. Lawrence River, great tournament. Can't say anything too bad about it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you again subscribe to the channel, consider subscribing, and make sure you like, share, and comment below. So thank you guys. I'm going to see you out on the water, and I'm going to see you at the championship.